all the time. Then we get on the air and we're just like, oh.
Carla's not. Carla always has something interesting and fun to say.
Absolutely. But we are recording already. So, Jack, why don't you pretend like we're on a show?
You know what? I just might do that.
All right.
One of my favorite people that I've met in my path through the literary forest has been the enchanting Carla Luna. And there are many things I love about Carla. But I think the thing that shines for me the most is that she's fun. She oozes fun. She oozes fun with a little naughty edge. And that, you can feel that in every page of the story she writes. And it's not like she's writing the same thing over and over. There's freshness, there's newness, but her characters have that little twinkle that Carla has in person. And I love that about her books, that's able to translate onto the page. So that's why she's one of my favorite people and much more adored than you, Bulldog.
I know.
So, but seriously, I'm thrilled. I always love when I get to talk to, if Carla's coming to the writing class, I'm like, oh, yes, because everything's going to be turned up a notch.
What's awesome is that also when you talk to we're talking about marketing savvy and going in for the kill, the best thing you can do for your career, I think, is to write a Christmas book. And Carla has done it. Yeah. So there we are. What? Santa Maybe is this year's version of Carla Luna. Mm-hmm. And we're so happy to have you. Hello and welcome.
Hi there, and hello everybody.
Thanks.
So yeah.
So have you always wanted to write a Christmas book, Carla, or is this something that came up, or how did this come to be?
So actually, this is my second Christmas book.
Oh,
my first one was White Wedding, which came out.
Shit.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
In 2021, when I released my first series, all like in 1 year, and that one is a wedding. That's a Christmas wedding. So I did get to start with Christmas, but this one just goes really hard on the pure Christmas vibes. That one is more of a wedding book. This is a Christmas book, especially because you have a hot Santa in it. And like,
yeah, baby. Ho, ho, and ho.
I'm seriously, like, it is a really big thing for a lot of readers. The idea of like, not, Tim Allen or like the old guy from Elf. We're talking like Kurt Russell, Christmas Chronicles. Like, people like that. There's not every reader. Some people are like, oh my gosh, a hot Santa, weird. But it is definitely a thing.
It is a thing. You've certainly come through. Some of the reviews I've read are just out effing standing. Did you write them yourself, or did?
No, I send out a bunch of advanced reader copies to mostly my newsletter subscribers and some of my people that follow me on Instagram. And a lot of them already know and like my book, so that's fun. And then I get new readers that way too, and that's always really exciting.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
So this book clearly has some version of the line, and then he removed his red coat and boots, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
Sure.
Definitely.
Duh.
And the whole sit on Santa's lap thing.
Whoa!
Definitely.
You almost made Jack spray.
I mean, you have to put that in there. I mean, it's kind of a given.
Absolutely. So Santa Maybe is the title of this book, and it says the Duchess Hotel Book 1, so we can only assume that there'll be more. Will they also be set around the Christmas season, or will there be other books?
No. I am going to go for other holidays because I know how to market. So the next one will come out late summer for Halloween. And it will be fall/Halloween themed. It's going to have two characters from the first book who have kind of set up as the next two characters, but it will also be at the same hotel. So it's the same series.
You are brilliant at that. Introducing characters who are like kind of on the side, kind of cool, kind of hot. And then the next one is their turn. Fantastic.
It's really fun because then sometimes readers will say like, oh, I'm so excited for so-and-so's book, which I love. I love that when they get excited about it. I'm like, ooh, good. I got some interest.
You damn straight you do. Some of the reviews say Luna's storytelling shines through. Once again, she proves her talent for creating swoon-worthy characters that linger on long past the last page. That was one of the many. I like the names of these places. Chicklet Central. I like that.
Yeah. I sometimes have gone on their site before and they have reviewed my books. So it's kind of nice when I get a reviewer that likes my books and is excited. Like when I send out my form saying, hey, who wants an early copy? And people are like, oh, yes, please. I love that because they kind of know what to expect. and they get kind of excited about it. So that's really fun.
Very cool.
So we're talking here all about Santa. Maybe we should really. Can you give us a sort of elevator pitch synopsis for those who are tuning in and we're are thinking, is this book for me?
So
Yeah,
first of all, to give you a little,
excuse me, Carla, including
Yes.
the lap dance on Santa's lap. We want to hear about that.
Describe that part slowly for Jack, and I'll get some saxophone music.
ooh, a little 80s sax. So I'm originally from Victoria, British Columbia, which is on Vancouver Island. It is a huge, huge tourist spot. It is one of the most beautiful places, I think, in North America. And they have a lot of hotels there. So I decided for my next series, because my brand is Destination Romance, that I would set it not overseas and not at weddings, but at a hotel, because there's a whole opportunity for quirky characters and fun interactions. So this is a struggling boutique hotel. They're trying to compete. It's called the Duchess. Their rival, their sort of big brother hotel, is the Grand Duke. And the Grand Duke gets all the press. It's actually based on a hotel called the Empress in Victoria, which has like a $150 high tea. So they're competing with this super expensive hotel, and they have a new general manager, and he talks to Rosie, who's my heroine, and he's like, look, I'm going to clean house unless you can increase the occupancy rate of the hotel and get more reviews. So I want you to be holiday forward. He's all about those buzzwords, and lean into Christmas hard with your staff.
Hard.
So that's her goal. There's a ticking clock. Hard, yes.
I caught you.
13-year-old boy. But yeah, so
I put him in timeout twice yesterday.
But anyway, so she has to really work with her staff, who are called the Duchess Damsels, her 3 closest friends who are managers, to figure all these Christmas ideas. And into the mix comes Drew. He's a personal trainer at North Life Fitness, which is a fitness center like around the corner where they send their guests because they don't have a fitness room. And he says, oh, I love volunteering to be Santa. I do it as like a volunteer thing. He's like what they call a golden retriever in romance, which is like a really sweet guy with a good heart. Yeah. So he's like, yeah, I'll be your Santa.
German Shepherd.
And then he's like, I actually need some help. His ex is getting married. He's like, I wish I had a date. And she's like, yeah, I wish I had someone to bring home to my parents, because they're always on my case about not having a significant other. And they're like, ooh, fake dating, which is a thing that happens all the time in romance, but probably not so much in real life. And so it's a fake dating romance with a swoony Santa, and then lots of Christmas stuff. So that was a long pitch, but I wanted to set the
No, absolutely. I'd just like to remind the ladies tuning in right now that if you need a faux date, I'm always available for, because I'm about as, no reality whatsoever.
That faux, not fool.
Yes.
Hey, and I see the term thrown around about your book, a faux-mance. That's
yes, so that's a nickname. That's why I love that. Have yourself a very little faux-mance. A faux-mance is a fake romance, so it's a term like in romance for fake dating.
And this goes on out there in the real world, may I ask?
Romantic celebrities do it.
Really?
To be when they want to have a narrative of like, oh, I'm involved with someone, and I've heard of it being done in celebrity world. In the real world, probably not so much.
I mean, it's a little deranged, isn't it?
It's a little odd, but people love that trope. I mean, I wrote my other Red Velvet is my book in Door County. That is fake dating, and that is my best-selling book. Like people will be like, "Oh, it's fake dating, and it's only one bad." Oh, yes, that's another popular book.
So I have to ask, because I also am 12 years old. Does fake dating lead to eventually a fake, tumble in the
real? I mean, that's the thing. The idea is, oh no, we're just gonna fake date, but we're catching feelings, and we're catching pants feelings. So then, hijinks ensue.
Pants feelings.
Maybe I like that one. Maybe fake dating, but no fake orgasms, right? The orgasms are real.
Nothing's fake about that stuff.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Look, we made Bulldog blush.
Yeah, it's not blushing. That's a blood disorder. Occasionally, it all rushes to my head when we talk about, yeah. So, well, this is great. The characters, and I guess this is an overall how you approach these things, but Are any characters here based on people you know?
No, I have in occasion-based villains on people I know.
Sure.
Like in my archaeology books, but generally no. They're just a group of young people. And one thing I do is I start to write the book, and they're just sort of more like names and descriptions and ideas. And as I write the book, when I do my second round, I go deeper, and they kind of reveal themselves to me more. I get a sense of what they're like, what their parents are like, what their families are like. And they kind of deepen on the page as I'm writing them with each pass I do. And then sometimes I have beta readers who are people who read the whole manuscript and give me feedback.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll be like, well, I really want more on this character, or I want this deepened. So then I'll go in again and I'll add more.
Yeah.
So my early drafts are always shorter than my final draft.
Sure.
Carla, you are, in addition to being the great books, you're prolific. I mean, it seems like every time we turn around, you have a new one coming out. What's your process? How do you, for people who don't know, people who don't understand how long it takes to put a book together, how long is there a typical for you? Do you give yourself deadlines? How does that work?
Yes, and this book was not a good example because I did not give myself enough time. I started in June and I wanted it to come out in December, and then I realized it's a Christmas book. It needs to come out in November. So I had to fast track it. But for me to write a typical book, this is a shorter book, but usually mine are between 75 and 85,000 words. From start to finish, it usually takes me about 7 months, 6 to 7 months. And that is like writing the first draft and then working with my critique partner. Then I, get to a stage where I revise it, the whole thing. I read it out loud, send it to my beta readers, get their feedback, put it all in, read it out loud again. And then it goes to my copy editor, and copy editor takes 2 to 3 weeks, and they clean it up because my commas can be messy, and they'll find things like inconsistencies, time stuff, little things that I might have missed. Then I revise it again. It goes to my proofreader, 2 to 3 weeks, revise it again, do a whole read through of the entire, I print it out, read the whole thing out like it's a book. Then I send it to my advanced readers, and I usually like to give them at least a month. This time I only had 3 weeks because I was so tight. But so I like to give them a month. They get to read it, put their reviews in, and then I format it too. I format it using a program called Vellum. So it takes me a while. I'm not a what they call a fast writer. Like a lot of indie authors will write a book in 3 months. No. And like the whole thing, start to finish. I'm like, there's just no way.
Well, I would certainly not put you as a writer who takes too much time, for God's sakes. You are on it. And the quality is great, and you still manage to just shoot them out there. It's fantastic. 7 months, and that's like a full 7 months, right?
It is. And I would say, like, for example, when I wrote Field Rules, I started in January, it came out in August, and it was really ready to go late June. But I wanted to give my ARC readers time to read it because it was summer. So sometimes too, like, I'm dealing with deadlines. Like for Tour Wars, which came out in March, I had to take December out of the equation because I wasn't going to ask anybody to like proof it or try to read it in December because it wasn't a Christmas book. So sometimes that I deal with that. And then I'm also doing a lot of in-person stuff, so I have to give myself time because when I do an event, it can take up a whole day.
Oh, and then those things take it out of you too.
They do. They take a lot of energy to pitch my book constantly and explain it and try to be like super friendly and upbeat and try to sell it. And
you do that pretty well, for God's sake. It might be a stretch for Bulldog and me, but for you,
look how she's tolerating us today. That's remarkable.
I know.
I mean, truly. So, Carla, of all those steps you mentioned, what is your favorite part of the step? Are we talking of the process? Are we talking maybe the first drafting where you just
I hate first draft.
You hate first draft. That's interesting.
Them.
A lot of people like that. But
word vomit. I hate it. I've mentioned that in Author Circle. That is the worst. That's what I'm writing, and it's just not great writing quality. It's just getting the story out. I love the second pass of revisions when you've written the whole thing, and now you're deepening the characters, you're adding description, you're fleshing out the story, you're maybe thinking of scenes you want to add. I love that stage the most because then it's really coming to life for me. And they always say you can't edit a blank page. So getting those words out so I can then dive into editing and revising. I love the revising stage.
I think it's also because you have that. You have something.
Yes.
In your
Something
first
to work
draft, you
with.
don't have
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, you're just like, okay, there it is. Now, what are we going to do with it? But at
Yeah.
least you have something, someplace to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I can see, like, is it too short? Is it too long? Are there scenes I don't need? Is there scenes I'm lacking? Things that I need more of? So I really enjoy that. And again, I fold in description because I'll write and I'll be like, insert description here, and I'll come back to it, and then I'll do my deep dive and figure out like how to describe like the bar of the hotel or Christmas cookies or something like that.
Very
Do you?
cool.
It's interesting. You mentioned indie author, which you certainly are. That. Do you? Essentially, you're your own business. You're a small business, is what it is, and that's something that I think a lot of people who get into this may not realize when they're starting out. Do you still keep a thought that maybe you would try traditional pub? I mean, is that something that you still kind of tap away at, or are you just like, nope, I'm happy where I'm at. I like where this is going.
Well, I stopped querying when I decided to self-publish, so I stopped trying to get an agent. I had one before, and I'm like, I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
I will say that sometimes I think about it because I did write a YA novel called Piper Girl, which was a dystopian version of the Pied Piper that I love, and I still would love to see that published. And for that, I would probably need an agent because it's a kid, like a young adult, and for young adult, you're better off because you want to be in bookstores and libraries, whereas with romance, there's so many people read ebooks that it's not as crucial. But I've thought about it for stuff like that, or if I ever wanted to tackle romantasy. But for now, I'm in a good spot, and there are a lot of hybrid authors that do both. But I don't know if I can handle that. That's a lot of time management to do both. But I never say never. Like if something came up, a good opportunity, I would probably be open to it. Sure. I don't have anything against traditional publishing, but I've really liked having my own path and thinking, okay, this is the series I want to write, and these are the books I want to write, and no one's going to be like, those aren't selling that well. I can just do it for myself.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, no, I was just going to say traditional publishing dead. Don't worry about it. It's over.
He's not wrong.
The other thing that I would say is I fully expect to see Carla as a featured author that's her things are based on like the Hallmark Channel. I mean, I know. Well, you're built for it. I mean, it's and you're ready to go. And the beautiful
this
thing
especially like so I just full disclosure, I just started and I'm about 2.5 chapters in, and this is really visual. Like I'm like, oh man, this could I'm seeing this one.
All right, perfect. Because you made me think of something, Bulldog. How do you, Carla? You are the epitome of show, don't tell,
or epitome sometimes. But go ahead.
Yeah. What advice do you give to someone who says gets hung up on this show, don't tell business that you obviously pull off so very well? How do you do that?
It's hard, and I sometimes do tell because I want to move things along. I just try to think of like, in terms of emotional impact, that showing usually has more emotional impact. And actually, usually when my beta readers get back to me, they will often point out scenes that are like, show me this. So I always need to work on it. And like a lot of times my readers will call me out. My early beta readers will say, this would be better as a conversation, or I really want you to. There's a scene with Drew, the Santa guy, and his parents that comes later, and they're like, oh, we need a scene like this earlier because you're telling us about his parents, but I want to see how bad they are. And I'm not spoiling anything, but just because they're very toxic. But so things like that where people will call it out to me and I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, that's a good idea.
And you have to be very careful, even though you love your beta readers, you can't follow everything they say.
No, there's sometimes
and they understand that, right? I mean, is that
especially when I use someone new, I'm always like, okay, I'll think about it. And sometimes there are things that don't resonate. Other times, it's kind of thing where if I'm still thinking about it and it's still bugging me, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try that. And I'll sometimes write like an alternate version of a chapter or alter things a little bit. And then I'll see which I like the best.
You know what's the ultimate example of this in Christmas special history is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. In the original,
Jack's obsession with this special, by the way, is off the charts.
In the original, Rudolph and those guys blow off the island of misfit toys. And
really? That's
yeah,
awful.
they didn't show up. They just go out. Yeah, I know. And
Oh.
people were out. They flooded. There was an uprising, and so they recut it, redid it. Now, if they would have been smart like you, Carla, the beta readers would have caught that, and you'd been all over that. There never would have been this big controversy.
Oh yeah, that's not one of the best parts of the movie. And by the way, I will say that is a really rough show.
Oh, it's fantastic. Thank you.
It's so dark. Like, I mean, Rudolph goes through a lot of emotional abuse. It's really tough out there.
Santa's a bulimic asshole.
Santa's like really a jerk. Like, he is not a good guy in that.
Carla, do not encourage him. Don't encourage him.
But it's always been weird. My brother and I watched all those specials as kids, and we talk about like the weirdness of that weird skinny Santa and his like sort of an Italian wife.
Yes,
and
Mrs. Santa. She's like feeding him like he's going to be on The Biggest Loser.
Every year on this show, we have to do a deep dive into the Rudolph cartoon from Rankin Bass.
Santa is a nosist. He
nosist.
Oh, he totally is. Yes.
Yes, he totally is. See, Carla knows. I knew
He's
she would
totally othering Rudolph. Like, it's not okay.
It was like, yeah, he's a great flyer. He's about tough shit about the nose. Sorry to hear it. You're off the team. Yeah, it's fantastic. Carla, I love you even more. It's hard to believe I could going into this call, but now I even love you. You made him speechless. Thank you.
I defer to Linus standing alone on that stage in a spotlight for the Charlie Brown Christmas. All right. Well, Carla, I mean, obviously, I was going to ask, what's a good writing day for you besides being on the Jack Henke show, which is
this is a great
off
thing.
the charts. But what is your dream writing day?
Writing day is get up, coffee, go for a long walk, get some ideas going, listen to a podcast, come back and write for a while, do some stuff in between like marketing or whatever. And then in the evening, like read. I like to read a lot because I always want to read in my genre and see what's popular. Mm-hmm. But getting like in a couple chapters, if I can either like usually write a chapter or revise a couple chapters, that always feels good when I'm being creative. Mm-hmm. It's hard now. I take the month of December off in terms of writing because it's so busy, but I miss writing. So sometimes I'll just free write like a random chapter or a random character sketch just to keep going. Cause I love the act of writing.
Well, we do need some more material for a certain author circle publication. So if you accidentally churn something out in December and you don't know what to do with it,
okay,
bring it on.
Then I was going to say, I noticed in the library links, it mentions the 17th, the afternoon tea.
Yes.
And it says with a local author.
Yes.
So is that supposed to be surprise or?
I don't know. But we're certainly blowing the lid off it really nicely here.
Well, I want people to come.
No,
like,
it is.
And they want to say hi, Carla, or just like hang. I want them to come and not be like, wait, Carla was there and I didn't know and I couldn't talk to her.
I will get to the bottom of that if I have to go right to the top.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to publicize it. I like that. But I don't want to publicize it if it's like a top secret. And sorry, oops, it's out there now, and you're
definitely not top secret because we're a library, and really, it's really hard to keep secrets in these walls.
Yeah.
So, because they're all available for checkout. Yes, it absolutely will be you, Carla. And I bought some extra copies to we can make sure people can grab one when they come to our afternoon tea. Pinkies up, come see Carla.
Yes.
Yeah.
Afternoon tea.
Yes.
Do you have to bring your own tea? What's the story?
It is supplied.
It is supplied.
Cookies? Are there going to be cookies?
There is bakery. All of it's supplied.
Sandwiches?
You will bring your own on that one, sir. But
as long as there's tea and cookies, I'm good. And that is on the 17th. So that is kind of fun.
If we don't bring tea and cookies, we have a minor uprising. So it's,
what time of day is that?
That is.
I think it's at 1.
It's early afternoon and
early afternoon. It's tea time.
Oh God!
I don't run it, man. I'm not invited. I'm never invited because I know I'll eat all the cookies and there'll be nothing left for anybody else.
It's not my job, man.
So I'm never invited to that, but I may crash this one.
Me too.
So that's all.
Yeah, come and say hi because that would be cool.
Absolutely,
I don't even know who's going to be there. But I'll be there and like feeling cheerful and talking about, I think we're talking about our favorite reads and about whatever books. That'll be kind of fun. I love talking about books, even if they're not mine. I always love that. But I do. I was just on a podcast where we talked about our favorite holiday reads. And I mentioned another one of my favorite reads. And it was very fun to talk about Christmas.
Excellent. Well, it's so much fun to check in with you when you have a new book and check in when you don't have a new book. And although it's very rare to find a time when you don't have a new book, as Jack was indicating, so that's cool. It's called Santa Maybe, available wherever you like to buy books, Amazon
all the platforms. Like
Yeah.
I'm wide, Amazon, Kobo,
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble, Bookshop.
Yeah.
In Frankie's bookstore in Frankie's gift shop in
Thiensville, yes, absolutely.
And in Blue House Books in Kenosha.
Without a doubt. We should probably, it just occurred to me now, we should probably put a few copies in our own Buy the Book, should we not?
Yeah.
Our friend's bookstore here in the
It's not just for $1 though, is it?
I mean, I can't sell them for $1 because
No.
I won't make
Right.
any money.
No, we need a little I don't know. We'll talk about that. I was like, wait a minute. We should figure that out.
The dollar books, it's great,
No, we
but I
can't.
don't.
If
No,
you
we
put
can't do that.
together, you should get a little taste, it's right off the top. Get a little extra stuff.
I'm sure there's some sort of taxation things too I'm breaking by doing as well. So
I don't want to get anyone in trouble.
it's fraught with peril, but I think we should anyway. Dang it. Anyway, well, Hanukkah Harry is very grateful that you popped in.
Thank you.
Carla. Very exciting. And
Do you have is your fan club called the Lunatics? I have to ask you.
No, but my shared world is called the Lunaverse. So, which I really love. So
I love that.
There are characters in the woman who's the heroine of Field Rules is cousins with the chef in White Wedding. So those two books are connected. And there's a cameo from one of my characters in Santa Maybe. So look out for that.
You know what? You are a marketing whiz, but here's a little free advice for you. Next book you have it be like a seaside resort. And since it's by Carla Luna, we can do a promotion with Charlie Tuna and have like a promo. Buy the book, get 2 cans of tuna, stockist. What do you think? I think Charlie Luna and Carla Luna.
Sorry, Charlie.
It's gold. It's genius.
Charlie Tuna was based off of Charles Nelson Riley.
Really?
Oh, very much so. That was kind of the we were using. So
Too restrained.
Buy my book, please. So there we are.
All right, well, Carla, you're a true joy.
Also, one other thing I was going to say is if you are local and you want to buy a book from me, like personally, and you want me to like sign it and give you a bookmark or swag, you can easily like talk to me and set something up. I have lots of extra copies. Most of the events I'm doing are not close by. I was in Chicago and Kenosha, and I'm in Two Rivers this weekend.
So, my hometown.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll be there for their Cool City Christmas Fair.
Nice. Nice. Very cool.
But anyway, so just, contact me, and I am always happy to meet with people and sell them books I can have them in the trunk of my car or whatever.
I want one. I want to do that.
Excellent.
Yeah. I'm going to set up a hookup.
All right. Uh-oh. It'll be a faux hookup. Don't worry. Don't panic.
And then my final piece of advice is to try to stay off the naughty list. That's what I say when I sign my books.
Very good. Very good.
Try
and fail to stay off the naughty list.
There's naughty in there.
It's levels. It's like DEFCON 1, DEFCON 2. There's different levels of naughty, so acceptable ones. All right, Carla, have a wonderful holiday. We will definitely see you soon. And thanks for popping in. All right.
You
Santa
bet.
baby.
I'm happy to do it.
Santa definitely. All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. We are live. And we are with the doctor of digestion and dining, the man who proves that there's the PT that's never settled for just okay. He is the man who says there is no quit in Quist. He is Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben, how are you?
I'm good. Oh my goodness. Wow. It just keeps getting better every time I go on your show. It's like the introduction. I don't know.
You inspire me to new heights, Ben. You are the man.
Awesome.
How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm doing very well. Yes. Just trying to stay out of the cold and do some good work here in the fitness business. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. That brings up a question I have for you. I know you probably have your subject today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Why don't you lead with yours, and then I'm gonna go to mine later because I usually hijack the show right away, and then you don't get.
So I just kind of wanted to start off our segment on. I was recently at a book club, and I think I've talked about this book before. I was kind of reading it for this club, and it was on a book called Good Energy. And the book is a great kind of like synopsis of all the concepts that have been kind of put out there in the past. But this author did a nice job of putting them all together of what are the different things that a human being needs to do to live a life that's full of energy. Because many of us find, I hear this a lot, that people are fatigued. You know, they're tired. They don't have the energy to do it. Oh, I can't get off the couch, you know. And the book was all about how do you create that energy in your life. And really all the concepts in the book are also the ones that lead to longevity as well, or the concept of health span. So how do I create a situation in which I am living my longest, healthiest life as well? So I thought it was really well done, but there was a couple of things that struck me. You know, so at this book club, there's some physicians there, and there were some other health practitioners, and they were talking about how challenging it is to get people to do some behavior changes in regards to things like eating foods that maybe aren't as refined, or eating foods that don't have, you know, added sugars, or trying to get away from foods that have chemicals in them, or getting away from products that we put on our skin that have chemicals, you know, all those kinds of things. And it was interesting to me because there's kind of like two ways you can think about that. Like, how do we get Ozaukee County healthier? We could say, well, the administrators of the county, well, they could ban having certain substances in our grocery stores, or you could take the government approach of, like, you know, it's their responsibility to make sure these food dyes aren't in our Cheerios, and that you know added sugar isn't happening. And it was interesting to me that the group kind of really leaned towards that as the consensus of how do we change this. We have to wait for the people in charge to basically change it for us. And I really have a different thought on that. And I mean, no disrespect to the individuals in the room that were there. They're all very intelligent individuals. You know, they were talking about the food lobby in Washington and all the things that were so hard for a normal person in America to eat a healthy diet or live a healthy life. But I personally think that all of us can create change. Like, Jack, you're creating change by having this radio show where you have health topics on it. All of us create change, and that we can really do it more from a bottom-up standpoint, meaning that, like, you know, individuals in the community like myself who have fitness businesses, we have thousands of customers at our fitness businesses, really, I can create change. Or one of the doctors there is a lifestyle doctor. She's creating change. Like, can't we create it from the ground up? Or even individuals that adopt a healthier life that then talk to people about it, and then they change a couple people who change a couple people, where eventually you create this kind of more grassroots change, you know. And I think it can happen that way as well. And I didn't want to contradict anybody in the room, so I didn't say anything. So
what? You're usually picking fights all the time. No, what's the matter with you?
My wife's telling me that I'm too intense sometimes. So I've been attempting to be a little bit less intensive on things. But, you know, I really feel, and then another topic was brought up too, and it was in the regards to how you feed your children. So, and it was like, whose responsibility is it to, and I'm going to ask you this question, because this was a question that was raised to the room of professionals, like, whose responsibility is it to make sure your children are eating good, healthy food? Jack, who would you say their responsibility falls on?
Well, depending on the age that they are. I mean, you have adult children, but
let's say children under the age of 12.
Okay, that's on the parents, man.
I know. It was kind of like a no-brainer. You know,
right.
That's on you if you have a kid in that age group. Like, if you are feeding them sugar in their breakfast, sugar in their lunch, sugar and chemicals for dinner, Happy Meals, like, it's on you as the parent. And you know, so it was interesting because, again, it was, and the consensus in the room was really, you know, we need to change the school lunches, and we need to do this, we need to do that, you know. And it again, I really feel like it starts in the home, you know, and it starts with us, you know. And when we start to do things like people, like, I've done some YouTube episodes on how many chemicals are in food lately. I did one on bread, you know, where I set a loaf of bread out that I got at Costco, and I had it sitting out for 3 months, and nothing happened to it. Like, it didn't mold. You could have still eaten the bread. I knew there's got to be something wrong with that. That bread is Frankenstein bread. You can't eat that bread. And then I had from this different company that makes bread without dough conditioners, without any type of chemicals put in the bread to extend the shelf life or preservatives. That bread on 3 months, you should have seen it. It looked like a Technicolor Dream Coat, or different color mold growing. It was actually kind of beautiful after 3 months. It was every color of the rainbow of mold, like it had kind of bloated up to this puffy, fat-looking mushroom of multicolored. It was amazing what happened to the bread that didn't have all that stuff in there. But we need to support that company, the company that is getting fresh baked bread where they aren't putting in all that stuff. And their bread is maybe like $1 a loaf more expensive than the people putting all the crap in the bread. So like, vote with your pocketbook. Buy that bread. Don't buy the other bread. Start to look at the label. Start to see the things. And we can very quickly change the landscape if enough people start to adopt the change. Because the manufacturers of the product will catch on to it really fast. Like the gluten-free thing. Look how fast they caught on to that. For whatever reason, everyone gripped onto that is like, everyone should be gluten-free. And suddenly there's a whole aisle in the grocery store of gluten-free products, right?
Right.
We all have the power to change this stuff. But that means us doing a little bit of the work of reading labels, and kind of checking things out, so that we can start to support the people who are manufacturing the products that are trying to do the good work of getting America healthier.
Yes. You shocked me with that the doctors in the book club thought the government could help. First of all, I mean, go to any government meeting where you can sit in and you can see how things happen and how quickly they don't happen. They have so many other things to do, and I'm not even picking on them. It's just like, forget it. Besides, the power comes, like you just said, if you can organize into a movement. And I think, like parents, and you mentioned school lunches, if they would go to, if enough parents signed a petition, went to a school board, I mean, that's local enough where they have some control over it. They could affect change that way if someone really wanted to spearhead the thing and do it. I agree with you. The only way to do it is to vote with your pocketbook. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I don't know how to shock people or try to get them to respond. When you look at certainly our adult population has taken a huge hit from what has happened. And you look at the large government bodies, so they put out a food pyramid that is complete bull crap, right? They basically tell everybody eat all the wrong foods. All those politicians are in the back pocket, the people that work at, that are the decision makers on what stuff is going in your food. Many of those people have been bribed off. They're not, they are 100% not working for you anymore. They are, unfortunately, it is what it is. Like we wouldn't have different products that being shipped to Europe because Europe won't allow any of the crap that we're putting in our food here. But here it's fine. Like we'll put it in the carcinogens in that food, we'll put in the hormone disruptors, let's put in the obesogen type items in the food. We don't care. Let's put that in the food for Americans. But then you look at it and the amount of obesity in childhood age kids, the amount of kids that are becoming diabetic at this point, that would have been like an incredible rarity, 30 years ago that a kid would get diabetes.
Yeah.
And now it's happening like, oh my gosh, there are kids all over the place getting it, and it just has to stop, and it's very frustrating. I'm about to get fired up.
I know this might even fire you up more. You've mentioned this before for both food and wine. What is it about Europe versus America? Why are they able to do this and we seemingly can't? You know what I mean? Why? What? And I know Europe is many different countries. I get it, but you can pick one country. It doesn't matter. Why is that, Ben?
I don't know. I guess it's the different political situation and what the people want in those different countries. But yeah, you're right. Those countries are older than ours, right? Most of them. And so why have them been able to get it together a little bit better or be a little bit more concerned about the health of their populace, where here in America, I know why they want to put dye in wine. I know why they want to put preservatives in bread. I know why they want to do all those things from a money-making standpoint. But if it causes cancer in the person that then the person that drinks that or eats that, you can't do that. That is just, it is so unethical to do that kind of stuff. It actually shocks me that, who are these lobbyists that are like, hey, I'm getting up today, I'm going into Washington, I'm going to lobby the senator to put carcinogenic things into the food, who does that? Who wakes up in the morning? Here I go, like going over.
It's not my problem.
That's what I do. And I make tons of money, and then I go to take my big trips, and I get to fly all over the place because I make all this money. Like, how do you lay down at night and you're like, I've done a good day's work. I've gotten all these chemicals to still be allowed to be in the food. I can just lay my head down. I can rest. My bank account is fat and healthy. It's just like,
so are my customers.
The decision makers on this stuff, like, how does that person who's in charge of like the chemicals that go in the food, for us, whatever organization at the FDA or whoever's doing that stuff, they then allow that,
right.
Or they take money for it. It's just like, my gosh, like this is like blows my mind, because I could never do that. I wouldn't want to make 1 cent off of something where it harmed another person, and I guess it's probably why I picked the career field I'm in. But, it's like, but there are people who are doing that stuff for money. Like, they're very convincing. These are smart people, that are doing this stuff. And I don't even understand how they, how do they go around their daily lives and here I go.
Well, maybe they're willfully ignorant of it. They don't want to know. They don't want to know the damage they're causing. That'd be the only, and that's still.
You're being way too nice.
That's no excuse, even if you were. But I don't know the answer to that. I see behavior and I think, how does that happen? How does anybody do that? I don't know the answer to it, but I don't know. It seems how can America for so long was on the cutting edge of so many things, and still, there's Silicon Valley, and we're still in a lot of ways, even though our numbers aren't like they used to be, but we still have a lot of innovation going on here.
It's an amazing country. Why,
if we have that innovation, how can we be behind anybody else in something that's so critical
so basic, like putting cancer-causing agents in our food and our cosmetic products and the things. I get it. I don't know, and I think some of it is that we are allowing it as a society. Like, I even struggle with this with my own family, my own relatives, and things where I will make a statement about something, or even we've talked many times about that Yucca app. That there is now an app that last time I looked, it was free, or it might be a very, very small fee. Where you can basically scan in any product, and Yucca is spelled Yuka, in case anyone wants to download the free app. You can scan any product in the grocery store or any cosmetic product on the shelf, and it will tell you if there are any harmful chemicals in that product. So there's no excuse anymore. You just scan the product. If it comes up bright red on the Yucca app, you put that one down, you move on to the next product, the next moisturizer. Right. How does this one look? Okay, well, this one's a little better. I'm going to buy this one. And then you've done your job of voting with your pocketbook, because the product that had the stuff in there that wasn't good for you, you're not buying. So you're not supporting that company, so.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not sure. And part of it is that we as consumers are not being savvy enough. And a lot of the illnesses and the things that happen from eating the products or doing these things take years and years and years for the actual disease to manifest. So that cancer that you get in your 40s, or that, the obesity that hits your child at age 12, they start to gain tons of weight. It happens over such a long period of time. It's almost like you don't notice it. Like you're the frog in the water that's slowly raising to the boiling temperature, and the frog never jumps out and gets boiled. That's what's happening to us, we are willfully allowing it. And I just think we need to start to take back our food sources, our, all that kind of stuff, and not be okay with these people who are allowing this stuff to come into our to poison our populace. It just is not okay.
Yeah. And not even, diabetes in children or anyone is terrible. But even if you have a child who doesn't have any of the diseases related to anything yet, but even then, it's not a great childhood if they're waddling. I mean, I'm not making fun. I mean, if you can't physically keep up with the other kids, I mean, kids are pretty merciless at any age, and they're not, really mean and exclude you from a game, the games. I mean, it's like a fulfilling prophecy, because you're excluded and you spend more time on your own, and then it's just not a good thing. And as a parent, that's got to be, you have to say, what's wrong with this picture? We're doing something wrong here, and we'll work on it together to get this rolling, to get this going. I don't know.
Yeah, or what school administrator is allowing candy vending machines and soda machines to be in a school? Like, if I was running a school, the first thing I would do is take those machines and go throw them in the trash can. Like, take those out. No child should be drinking soda. I mean, like, no adult should be. No one should be drinking soda at all. It should never be consumed. It's one of the worst. Probably 64 grams of added sugar in one little can. Like, that's insanity. That's like the amount of sugar someone, before soda was invented, they take that in like in a whole year. It's like we're taking it all in one fell swoop. Whoosh, it's just incredible that this is even allowed or it's even happening. But and it's just standing up and doing the right thing. Like, I don't know. Like I see it in the school my kid goes to, like, the lunches that are served, or the picnic, where they come together and they eat all the food, and like, oh my God.
Or we've talked soccer, the treats.
Soccer, the treats after the games. And I don't mean to rant on this stuff, and my wife tells me to shut up about this all the time, but her and I probably fight about this more than, that's our main conflict in our marriage, is like, what are we feeding our children? And sometimes I win and sometimes she wins, but
right. But I don't know, Ben. It's not, and it's not, what do I say? I don't have an optimistic view for the immediate future for it. That's the biggest thing. It seems like the awareness, whether it's willful or not, is just not there, that this can be affected. You can't, a kid's overweight, you don't just go, well, they're overweight.
Right.
What are you going to do? They're a kid, they'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
No. And I think, it all comes with, we have control over what we put in our own body, right? So we can take control of what foods we are eating. And then as a parent, we have some control over our children's diets. We just got to start the ripple effect. We start to get some of this stuff out of the situation, and then the manufacturers stop making it, whenever they talk about something where they're trying to addict you to it, like they're trying to addict you to this particular food by making just the exact right amount of like fat and sugar, added sugar, and, chemicals, salt, like things like that, to make sure that you get addicted to the product. That's not good. Like, we shouldn't be talking about ways to trick people into like getting them addicted to, some type of snack food. Like,
right.
That's another thing. Like, who's the guy or the gal or the individual at the food manufacturing plant? He's like, I'm the chemist that's going to get everyone addicted to this totally crappy food. These people are going to, here I go into my job. I know this food's killing people, and I do this job, and I get paid a lot of money for it. Like, how does that person get up in the morning? Like, go in and be like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can get everyone addicted to these particular crackers or this chip or this, it boggles my mind that anybody does that job. That chemist goes in there and is like, hey, like, how does that person wake up in the morning, again, to put that question forward, like, and do that job? Like, I mean, my gosh. My people in America addicted to the worst food they possibly can eat. That is awful for them, that will cause them to die decades younger than they should, of horrific diseases that sometimes cause their limbs to be amputated. Like, that's what I do.
Wow. I don't know. There's no answer, Ben.
There's no answer.
I mean, I'm glad I can't answer. If I knew, I'd be saying, like,
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm sorry if anybody's friend works for, craft food or something. That scientist that does that. I don't mean, I apologize. I know it takes a lot of skill to get people addicted to certain products, so I don't mean to like bash you at all. I'm sure it took a lot of education to figure all those complex chemical reactions and different things for the human body to, get on that, that high from that product, whatever. So.
Okay. There's no quit in Quist. I'll tell you that. That's for sure. Gosh. And don't ever quit. I mean, I think the thing to do is anybody who's successful at anything, you just have to have the persistence. You just can't stop. If you know what you're doing is right, and this is career advice, it's doing the right thing advice, you just can't stop. You can't be discouraged. It's a long game, and you gotta stay after it. You gotta keep making people aware of it. That's the thing we can all do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, I mean, it's great. I mean, and I am very lucky to be in the career field I am, where I can hopefully help influence people towards healthier choices that will make their lives better. Yeah. I feel, and that's why I don't intend on ever retiring. I'll be doing this for as long as people continue to come into my facilities, and trying to help them make changes for the better. But it's a wonderful thing to do. And even if, you aren't a personal trainer or you aren't somebody in the health industry, like you can still influence your friends and family to make small changes to make things better. And the things we've talked about all the time, just look at the added sugar on the label of the food that you're buying. If it has added sugar in it, don't buy it. You know, that is probably like the number one tip. You know, the other one is if you look at a food label and you see a gazillion other chemicals in there and words you can't understand or that your grandma would have never seen in her food, don't buy it and don't eat it. You know, if you do those two things, like you're going to make yourself so much healthier.
And the thing is too, I think people think if they do that, they won't find any food that tastes good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's you may have to relearn how you prepare food or how to pick it out or what you like or what you don't like. But there's a lot of good food that's good tasting too.
Yeah, totally. And it's almost like an adventure when you go on that journey of getting off of highly processed foods with lots of sugar and chemicals in them, which really isn't. We've talked about this before, and I can go on an entire rant about how you're eating. That's not even food anymore. It's like Frankenstein creations out of a, you know, but it's actually a really cool journey to rediscover what real food actually tastes like. You know, like, so like, for example, like many times it's like, well, it's really hard to find anything to eat for breakfast, you know, like for breakfast, you could do a quarter cup of almonds with an apple. Like that could be something right there. There's no chemicals. There's nothing artificial or weird. You're getting some fat and protein and fiber in the almonds, and you're getting all kinds of good things in the apple. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. And sometimes you find like, gosh, I really do like the taste of a raw almond. It didn't have to be, you know, roasted in a bunch of seed oil and salted up to the point where, know, 3,000 milligrams of sodium in one handful. You know, like, you know, real food tastes good.
Yep. Yeah. And you're right. And a lot of it is just like, it's not common sense because we were brought up, I don't know. But you're right. So I think the thing to do is you just got to keep hammering away, Ben.
Yep.
I mean, you've opened my eyes to a lot. I'm not perfect at it, but I'm so much more aware now. I'm like, you start thinking about all the things. The first thing is to think about what you're putting in your mouth.
Yep. Yeah, the author of the book, Good Energy, which is a great book if anyone wants to, it was written by a physician. She basically became disillusioned with being a physician in the conventional health system, which actually, I guess from reading her story, was actually pretty interesting, that physicians have a pretty high suicide rate. I had no idea. I never know that. Like, you know, they're pushed pretty hard, and many times they're going into the field because they want to help people get better, and they realize that all they're doing is managing sickness, and a lot of the strategies they're using are causing people to, you know, maybe not make the changes that are necessary. We're just putting a Band-Aid on something and a symptom, you know, so it can be very disillusioning to them. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. That's interesting. I never heard that either about doctors with a high suicide rate at all.
That's what she had in her book. I didn't verify that fact, but she had written that in her book, and you know, she made that transition into opening a clinic where now she just works on lifestyle things with her patients. You know, which, you know, she wrote a great book, so it's a really good read.
Cool. When are you writing your book?
You know, I think I was just talking to Jeremiah about that today. I've been really kind of like waffling around. I was writing one on diet, and I got about halfway done on that. And I've kind of switched focus. I'm going to be switching to a book on exercise strategies. So basically a book for a beginner, if they want to get involved with exercise, that gives them detailed lists of exactly what they should do. You know, I feel like this book was a good example of that. She had a summary of like exercise. She's like, well, you should strength train 2 times a week, and you should get your heart rate above 60% for 150 minutes a week. And she had a couple different, but then it's like for the beginner, well, what does that really mean? Well, it means A, get on a treadmill, hit the start button. There's these silver handles. You hold the handles, and that will give you your heart rate. To create 60% of your heart rate, take 220 minus your age, times it by 60, and that's the number you want to get up to. Like, people need more details, like a step by step. So I'm going to kind of do a paint by numbers, how to get fit for life kind of book, but it's going to have tons of different programs that people can do depending on where they're at. So that's what I'm thinking of for our first book that we're going to actually complete.
Excellent. For it to be effective, it has to be actionable. And it's the same thing like self-help of any kind, where all they do is get you charged up with a positive attitude. I can do anything, but don't give you specific steps on how to use that knowledge, you lose all of it. You just go back to what you were doing, or
Yep.
some version of it. So that's great if you can put
The
together
devil's in the
practical
details, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So so that I just thought I've not seen anything like that in the marketplace. Like, it doesn't seem like that exists. So I think it'd be something that'd be beneficial.
And the thing is, Ben, no matter what your idea is, someone's going to say, "Oh, well, I saw that somewhere else." It's always your unique. The Quist twist. How do you like that?
Yep.
I just gave you a new one. The Quist twist.
Yes. You put your own unique stamp on it, and
and that does it. Which brings me now. I'm going back to the question I wanted to start with, and I'm glad we went there, because I've been thinking about with the weather. It was down to 6 degrees wind chill, and then it's going to be up to 50 on Sunday. People who like to exercise outdoors, is there first of all, two questions? Is there a temperature you just say forget it, you shouldn't be out there, the air is not, your body can't handle that cold of air, you shouldn't be out there when it's just, is there such a temperature, Ben, as that, or not?
I think that's different for every person. If you're young and vigorous, versus someone who's 80 years old, that temperature might be very different.
Yeah.
The thing that worries me the most about people exercising outside, sometimes even young people, but especially people over the age of 50, which I'm in that category now, unfortunately. So I'm not downing on it. It's just like it happens to us all. We're all getting old. Is the ice and the snow and slipping and falling, so that concerns me bigger than, like my mom, who she's 80 now, almost 81. Like, I don't let her walk outside. Well, I try to stop. I can't physically stop her, but like, I strongly discourage her from walking outside in the winter when it's snowy or icy out, just because I worry about a fall and a broken bone and that kind of thing. So, but like temperature wise, I think everybody can kind of define that for themselves. You kind of know when it's too cold, right?
Yeah. But okay, then the other thing I was going to ask you, and you even mentioned this without knowing it, if you do go outside in the winter, whether you're skiing like you like to do, or walking or jogging, what do you recommend, or do you recommend anything for putting on your face and your lips and stuff for like moisturizer or protector, anything like that is there anything that you have, or do you say you just have to use the app and look at it and decide for yourself? You mean, okay, is there a good one that's not bad? Yes.
Okay, yeah. So like, it's funny, like, one of the categories of products that have the worst chemical profile are sunscreens. So, I would highly recommend trying to find a sunscreen that doesn't go bright red on Yucca, because it's like, it's funny, like the chemicals they put in those sunscreens are not great, and your skin is your largest organ. It absorbs that stuff. It comes right. You put something on your skin, it's going to go into your bloodstream. Like a lot of medicines are transdermal patches. They pop on you, and that's how the medicine comes in, right? So yes, I have some sunscreens that I have been using that use a different I think it's zinc oxide or something. It's not ideal. Like, some of those products, there's a reason why no one likes them, because they're chalky and they're, they're hard to get to go into your skin, versus a nice, creamy chemical laden sunscreen that is just immediately goes in, and, so I don't know. I just use that app, and I try to find.
Okay. So the Yucca app is really good. Okay.
It's fantastic. I mean, there's no way I can know all of the bad chemicals, or you can. I mean, unless you're like Rain Man, like Rain Man of the chemical world. Like, there's so many of them, but that's what they've done. And now I think it's been a great public service that they put that app together. That it allows us to then be able to kind of take advantage of their knowledge base.
Cool. All right. And I've got to give you in Form Fitness kudos. A friend of mine just started attending Form Fitness, and he was. I was talking to him. I work with him. He's a graphic designer we worked with for years.
Yeah.
He's a little older, but not much, and he's in good shape. But the thing that he said, can we do it after I just joined your gym, and I'm getting this part of my joining up is I get to train on how to use the machines. And I thought, you know what, that is an overlooked thing, because people are so intimidated, not only about the atmosphere, but how do I use this machine? What do I use? And that's part of your membership at Form Fitness. When you first join up, you have someone, the trainer, take him around. He knew Rock was taking him, And
Okay.
I said, "Oh, good luck with the rock."
Good luck with rock. Yeah.
But I said it's a great thing, but that's an overlooked benefit that you offer. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. You know, most gyms will offer like one session with a trainer to show you around. But usually that's a sales tool where they're then going to try to sell you personal training. That's kind of a line in the sand. We very early on when we did this, we offer 3 sessions with a trainer because it takes more than one session for a trainer to actually kind of get you rolling. And I always tell the trainers, I don't care if they buy training with you or not, you do your absolute best effort to get that person a program that they are independently confident with, you know, and you know, so they actually will specifically design a program for the new member, you know, and for maybe a member who's a little bit older, who doesn't have as much experience, that might consist of 4 strength training machines, and then how to use a recumbent bike. You know, a member that is already pretty fit, and it might be a very well-designed program that they give the person to take them through a couple times. So, you know, that's something that I'm proud that we offer that, and that it's free with our membership. But you know, and we have a fantastic staff of over 30 personal trainers that are all great, you know, that lead the customers through that so that they have their best chance of ingraining daily movement as something into their lifestyle.
Very much. It's very cool. I just, you know, it's something that I knew you've done, but until you just said it, I've got this appointment, I thought, oh, God damn, that's great. That's really cool.
It is. It's a good, and probably the best review we ever got on Google was this woman, and this was probably like 15 years ago. She's like, it was the only gym I've ever joined, and she had moved away, and she's like, I'm writing this review even though I now live in like Utah or whatever. It was the only gym I've ever been a part of where they actually legitimately tried to help me when I got started, you know, and I that did my heart good.
I bet.
You know, there's only a certain amount of resources that go around, you know, when you're starting a new member, but at least I feel like we're doing the absolute best we can with the resources we have to get that person going.
Yep. Okay, cool. Anything, speaking of the gym, you got any year-end promotions coming up or any holiday stuff?
I know we got like half off enrollment right now. We got just some different price, you know, things going on, you know, that kind of an interesting thing happening in, I think it's either February or March. We're bringing a kind of a competition to Form and Fitness called the DECA Challenge, which is a way that people can kind of measure their fitness level, but it's a challenge that is actually national. It's part of the Spartan Challenge with Reebok. So it's kind of cool. Like we just signed up to be a DECA gym, but we are going to be having that available for members to participate in, where they can, you know, get kind of ranked across the entire country in this fitness measurement, which would kind of be fun for some of the more competitive members and whatnot. We're going to be getting that rolling in March. So I expect you to be competing in that with Jack. I'll be in there as well. Even in the old guys, the movements aren't like they're dangerous or hard. It's just, you know, who can do them faster and with more weight, I guess, you know, so it's like, you know, so.
Very cool. That's cool. I mean, people are thinking about all that stuff because I saw my first thing with the things you want to accomplish in 2025. You know, it's that becoming that time of year before you know it. We're after Thanksgiving, we're heading into the deadly duo of curses.
And, all that stuff.
Okay, cool. Well, good to hear. Well, thanks for joining. It's good to see. I know you've missed me, so I
miss you every week. I'm not able to come on. I feel like it's a hole in my heart.
Yeah, you are something. All right, next week we'll be back with another thing. I think Good Energy. It's a great book to check out. You know, people do. I mean, there are days I'm like, God, I'm just dragging. And I think, what else can I do? And there are things you can do. So
it's amazing when you apply all those principles from the book. It's an amazing difference in how you feel. It really is. So
very cool. All right. Well, have a great, energetic weekend, Ben. I'm sure you'll be running those kids around. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yep.
Very cool. It's going to be warmer, so you can get outside a little bit too. So everybody have a great, safe, exercise-filled weekend. Right.
All right, we'll see you soon.
No quit and quist, man.
No quitting.